What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have is Oman under Indian military occupation. Before we dive in and find the answer to this, if you guys happen to enjoy the video, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and let's find out.
You said that if a country has its military stationed in another country or has a military base in another country, that country is essentially under occupation. So if we think that way, India has a military base in Tajikistan, Mauritius, and some other countries. So are these countries under Indian occupation?
Right. Oh, he's reading.
And Bobby says, by your logic, Oman is occupied by India. There needs to be a distinction between why a base is placed and for what reason it's placed. Japan is allied with the US since the end of World War II. Just because Japan has an American base does not mean it's occupied. It is incorrect, misleading terminology used to describe the situation. Japan has its own autonomy and has the sovereignty of its own land. The policies of the government are controlled exclusively by Japan. They have tri-branch parliamentary system, as with most democracies, executive and so on. It also has an emperor as the head of state. As for serving its best interest, Japan has an alliance with the US. They also have foregone, foregone specific elements of its military in exchange for American support. All right, very nice. So let's examine logically. So first of all, I've never said that if you have a military base in another country, it means you're occupying the country. I said permanent military bases signify occupation.
Okay.
Permanent military bases, not a transactional relationship. So let's examine the relationship between India and Oman and India and Tajikistan, for instance.
Okay.
So let's ask these questions. Firstly, has India defeated Tajikistan and Mauritius and Oman in a war? No, India has not. Has India forced Tajikistan or Mauritius or Oman to allow India to keep a military base there on their soil? No, India has not.
Okay.
Has India nuked Tajikistan or Mauritius or Oman?
No.
No, India has not. Has India forced Tajikistan or Mauritius or Oman to adopt a constitution that has been written by Indians? No, India has not. Does India have a permanent military base or bases in these countries for decades on end? No, India does not.
Okay.
What India does have is a very friendly, cordial, warm relationship based on mutual respect and mutual interests with these nations. So India has negotiated with these countries and they have accepted India's offer to emplace a military base on their territory. And I expect India must be paying them handsomely for that privilege of using their territory for India's purposes. And I'm sure there are other aspects to the relationship as well. India and Mauritius have very close relations because of ethnicity and history. So they trust India. They know.
So far, it doesn't sound like India technically, I guess, occupies any of these countries just because they have a military base there. It sounds like both countries are actually benefiting from it. India is negotiating and they are accepting those negotiations with India to have that military base there, but it's not a permanent military base. It's not a military base where India forces these countries to keep there. It's not a situation where India forces them to adopt Indian constitution. It's not a situation where India has defeated these countries in war. It's none of those situations. It sounds like it's an agreement between these countries and India, and like he said, they're probably getting paid handsomely from these countries, as well as other factors between the two that are going on.
No, India is not a hegemonic power, and India has supplied them with naval assets like ships and helicopters, etc. And we have a very close. I'm talking about Mauritius here. We have a very close strategic relationship with Mauritius. So it's a relationship based on mutual respect and mutual benefit. The same goes with Tajikistan. Tajikistan is a country in Central Asia. It is not a Turkic country. It's an Iranic country. They speak, I think, Persian or Dari or some variant or dialect of Persian, which tells you that India and Tajikistan have very ancient and very close relations, just the way we have with Iran. So once again, there is a relationship based on mutual trust, mutual respect, and mutual benefit. The same goes for Oman. So India, first of all, would be paying these nations for the privilege of hosting an Indian base on their territory. And secondly, there will be other considerations as well based on mutual benefit. That's how a healthy relationship goes. Now let's look at the United States and Japan. The United States has numerous military bases in Japan, most of which have been there since 1945.
Oh my
And the
days.
United States did not
That's about
negotiate
80
with Japan
years.
for keeping these bases on Japanese soil. The Americans have not taken Japanese permission for that. The Americans defeated Japan in World War II. They nuked Nagasaki and Hiroshima, right? They defeated the Japanese. They allowed the Japanese emperor to stay on as the titular head of state for their own, for whatever considerations they had, and they forced Japan to adopt a constitution that was written by the Americans themselves, they
Oh.
say it was written under US supervision. That's what they say. So it's not a native indigenous Japanese constitution. It's a constitution that was written under American supervision. It has certain clauses and things that prohibit Japan from doing certain things.
So he's saying, hey, the relationship that India has with these countries of Tajikistan, Mauritius, and Oman are much different than the relationship between the U.S. and Japan. So the U.S. permanently forced, I guess, their military base. They don't got Japan permission, but they got their military bases in Japan. Don't need their permission, I guess. They beat them in World War II. They nuked Japan. They made Japan adopt the American Constitution, or as I guess they say it, falls under American supervision. They've done all these things. So I guess when he points out these two examples, you listen and you think, well, geez, yeah, America does sounds like it has Japan under occupation. And it allowed Japan's emperor to keep that title. It allowed, I guess, the policies. It said the policies of the government are controlled exclusively by Japan itself. That's probably not the situation based off what Abhijit Shah just said. Um, and that's just what they're telling you. But Japan basically is gonna do what the U.S. says.
Right? And they have had these multiple, numerous military bases, air force bases, naval bases, marine bases, other bases on Japanese territory in multiple parts of Japan, across the length and breadth of Japan. They've had these bases since 1945, and they haven't taken Japan's permission for this. Understand this, please. Please understand. These are facts. You
Yeah,
can verify them for yourself,
I got you.
for yourselves. Similarly, let's talk about Italy. The Italians were on the losing side in World War II. They were part of the Axis powers. The Axis powers were Japan, Germany, and Italy,
Okay.
right? So the Italians lost the war, right? They lost Second World War, and the Americans have had bases, military bases, in Italy since at least the 1950s. So this is again a permanent situation. So
Yeah,
this
I
is
see what
what
you're
we mean
saying.
by military occupation. Military
Okay.
occupation means you don't take permission. You tell them this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to be. Deal with it. And then you have a permanent
Deal
base
with
there.
it.
And you don't pay them for the privilege of doing this. You don't take their permission. They just have to accept things the way they are. So
Shoot.
that is the difference between the relationship that India has with Tajikistan
Yeah.
and Mauritius and Oman and the Seychelles, etc. The relationships India has with these nations are relationships based on mutual trust, mutual respect, mutual benefit. The relationship that the US has with Japan, for instance, is a highly asymmetric relationship. It's a relationship that is based on coercion and based on a stark imbalance of power. So that is what we mean by occupation. I hope I have made this hopefully clear. Yes?
So this is how it's gonna be. Deal with it. So I think yeah, from the two examples he gave, you can definitely see the difference in the examples and which one sounds like military occupation and which one is two countries mutually benefiting from each other. That's all we got. I love to hear your thoughts on this conversation. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out the next one. I'll see y'all next time.